it is Christine. Welcome or welcome back to the Brain XP community, in other words, my channel. Okay, so today's video, I am praying that it will be posted on May 13th. There's a specific reason why I'm stressing out about this, and you're going to find out in this video. So this is a story time video, and this story time, I've done one before, and it's about one of my first psychotic episodes that I had. If you want to watch that video, it's a very good idea before you watch this one, only because it'll make a lot more sense. But this story time is the time that I ran away from home at 12 years old. So before we get started with the story time, I kind of just like to say this to make sure you understand where I'm coming from when I give these story times. Positive outcomes are possible. That is what I'm trying to convey right now. That is the message I want you to understand through this video. Not that running away is something you should do. That's not something you should do. I'm just trying to make sure that you know that I'm 17 now. My mental health is like in a much better state than when I was 12 years old. So that's good. And I just want to make sure you guys know that this is just like an eye-opener for some people who don't understand some mental health challenges and difficulties, and that's the purpose of this video. Also, if you are looking for someone to relate to when it comes to depression, psychosis, mental health in general, bipolar disorder, eating disorder, whatever it is, this is the channel for you. I'm here to be your friend. That's literally it. So if you need someone, I'm here for you. If you need to relate to someone, I am here for you. That is the point, so make sure you subscribe if you're one of those people. And if you're not one of those people, you should still subscribe. Now this story time I'm telling you about today, this actual story is in my autobiography, Brain XP. It's a good book. I think it is. I wrote it. So the book link will be in the description box below. I highly recommend that you read it if you're really interested in this type of stuff. And it goes in depth about some of the things that I don't explain all the way in this video. So now that I've got all that stuff out of the way, let's get started with this actual story time. So the reason why I'm making such a big deal about posting this video on May 13th, it is 2019, just as a reminder. I don't know when you're going to watch this video, but it's 2019 right now. And on May 13th, 2014, 5 years ago exactly, is the day that this incident took place. So anyway, we're going to pretend like it's May 13th, 2014. And actually, that was 4 days before my 13th birthday. So 13th, and then 4 days later will be the 17th, and that's my birthday. And that year I was turning 13. As a quick side note, just to let you guys know again, this video will make more sense if you watch my psychotic episode video. It'll be linked in the description box below, so it's easy to find. But a lot of stuff I'm talking about, like what's going to follow up right here, has to do with some of the things I explained in that video. So it's kind of up to you, but I really highly recommend that you watch that first. So May 13th, I'm at school. It's a Tuesday, I believe. And basically, I was just having my normal day. And my normal day was like depression, crying, anxiety, all that stuff. But I was managing. I was getting through the day. I had probably like an hour or two left of school when the demons kind of started talking to me. So again, that could be explained in the previous video. But basically, I had some mental health difficulties, and one of those things was seeing and hearing demons. So the demons were talking to me, and the main guy won. Gosh, you gotta watch the first video for this. Let me just explain really quickly. So the demons that I experienced were labeled 1, 2, and 3. 1 was the head main guy, 2 and 3 were the sidekicks of that guy. They're demons, they're not cool, they're mean, very mean. That's what I experienced. So, sitting in class, and I'm kind of used to the demons by now talking to me and just being there around me. And so basically they go, hey, we'll make a deal with you. Like, we know you hate us, because I absolutely hate them. We'll give you this opportunity. But here's the catch, we'll go away forever. These demons are just going to disappear, never come back, leave me alone, let me live my life. But the condition was that I had to run away. And what was interesting about that is I had no location to go to. I had no time frame that they gave me, and I was just such a stupid little kid at that time. I was 12 years old. I didn't think about all that stuff. So yeah. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I would never do this. It's out of my character. It's not what I would normally do on my own. But I really, really hate these demons, and I want them gone. And that was kind of where I became desperate. And so that was where my mind was at when they first started talking to me. So when school finally ended, the bell rang, and I was supposed to go to daycare. It's on the school's campus, it's like right there. So I was literally supposed to just walk to daycare. I had my guitar because I had a guitar lesson that day after school, and my mom was going to pick me up at daycare like in an hour or two after school ended so I could go to that guitar lesson. So I had my guitar, my backpack, all my textbooks and folders and stuff, my binder, and it was just a really hot day. I just remember that so clearly. It was so hot and I had all this stuff to carry, but at the same time I was just this desperate 12-year-old trying to make sure that their life, or her life, was my own again, if that makes sense. So I didn't really know what to do, so instead of walking to daycare, I ended up just walking out of the school and just across the street, and I just thought maybe I can trick them, maybe I can make it like where I wait till the demons leave and then I just go back to school, and it just didn't work out that way. So I walked out of the school, right, and I live in this area. Literally, I'm wearing the sweatshirt of where I live. This is not my sweatshirt. This is my brother's sweatshirt. But I live in Sierra Mesa, San Diego. And so I live in the same area as my school is. So I just started walking. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew kind of like the area. I just started walking and I got to a bus stop, and I'm telling you, when I say hot that day, it literally was like 95 degrees that day. So I was like carrying all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, Christine, you're tired. And so I decided, okay, let's stop at the bus stop and just sit down for a second, just to regain some strength. Maybe the demons will go away and I can go back to school. So yeah, I went and I sat down at the bus stop. Okay, so now I'm sitting at the bus stop. The demons are not leaving. So I thought, let's just keep walking. I have no purpose just sitting here. So I took all my stuff again, grabbed my guitar, everything, packed up, and I started walking again. And you know what's really funny? I don't even know if I put this in the book. I actually saw like parents and kids of the people that go to my school like drive past me as I'm walking with all this stuff, and I guess in one sense they're like, oh, that's just Christine, she's just walking, you know, walking home or whatever. But it was also kind of like flabbergasting to me, if that's even a word, that, you know, no one like wanted to stop and just ask if everything was good, because it was not a usual sight, if that made sense. I never walk home by myself, so it wasn't usual for me to be walking with all that stuff and not even going toward my house. So that was just really interesting, but that was a side note. Anyways, keep going. So, okay, the demon's not leaving, so I keep walking. I get to the library, and oh my gosh, the library was air conditioned. So, I was definitely going into the library. And so what happened was I went to the library, got inside, sat down. It was nice and cool, but I was still scared, you know. I was like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing, you know. I was still very apprehensive and nervous and anxious and all that. And so, okay, I know what you're thinking when I say this. This is just so weird. This is so stupid that I did this. But what I actually did was, I'm in the library. I took out my homework, and I did my homework. Now, I know there's probably people looking for me, crying their eyes out, like, where is she? And I'm just sitting here in the library doing my homework. It sounds really bad when I say it like that, but it's not the way it seems. I was just doing my homework to calm down, to keep my mind off of all the things that were happening around me. And to be honest, at that time in my life, I was so depressed that I didn't think anyone would care if I was gone. So it was more like a thing where I was taking off, going to be gone for a few hours, but nobody would really care. That was the mindset I had at that time. So yeah, I didn't realize people would actually be upset and hurt by this. But they were, and it's alright, we're moving forward. But anyways, I did my homework, and then I left the library, and I just kept walking again. And like I said, it's so hot. I didn't have any water with me or food or anything, but I did have like a $5 bill, I think, or maybe just some change in my backpack. So I stopped at this like little coffee shop. Anyone who lives where I live, they know which coffee shop I'm talking about. I'm not going to say the name of it, but I love this coffee shop. I wouldn't go there for a couple years after this happened, because it's just with bad memories, but this coffee shop's awesome. So I got to the coffee shop and I bought a drink and I sat down, and that's when I got really sad. So I took out my phone, which had been off this whole time, because the demons are really strict about my phone. When they say don't use your phone, I am actually like afraid that something might happen if I use my phone. That was just the mindset I was in. It was reality for me. I know not everybody else could see them or hear them or whatever, but it was real for me. So it was really hard to ignore what they would say and what they would threaten to do. So I took out my phone, and I did turn it on. I just looked through it a little bit. I didn't call or message anyone, but I looked at it and I'm like, oh my gosh. There's like all these text messages like from my mom, from a couple of my friends, and I was like so, like literally my heart just like froze, like it broke. I'm like, people really care about me? Like they're actually looking for me? Like what the heck? And so, but then I'm like, oh my gosh, but the demons won't let me use my phone and I don't know what to do. They could be hurt even more with their threats if, you know, I was just so in the moment. I was like, I can't even answer them. Like that was the worst part of this experience, was the fact that I knew all these people were scared and looking for me and had no idea what to do. But at the same time, I had no idea what to do either. And so that was the worst part of it, definitely. So then I put my phone away, I kept walking for a little bit, and then I decided, this is ridiculous, the demons are not leaving, they're just playing me over again, you know? And I decided I was gonna go back to school. And nothing about this experience is like really funny, but I think it's just hilarious that I keep saying I know this area, I live in this area, the school's in this area, yet I still somehow managed to get lost. And the thing is that it wasn't like a terrible getting lost thing. It was that I entered a neighborhood that ended up being military housing, and oh my gosh, all those houses look the same. You have no idea where the main street is. They all just look the same, like they're the same house. So I'm lost. I don't know how to get back to the main street from this little circle thing of military housing. It just looks like it keeps going forever. And I couldn't find the main street. So what I did, which probably was a very bad idea, or could have been a very bad idea, but I knocked on someone's door and I just asked, hey, do you know how to get back to this school? And my school is really small, like tiny. So I didn't expect everyone to know like what the school was, but man, this guy was so unhelpful. he goes, yeah, I don't know where that school is, and then I'm like, oh, okay. And that was it. That was literally it. Then he just like, he didn't slam the door in my face, but like, he shut the door, and I'm like, okay, great. Now I'm like, no one wants to help me really, and I don't know how to help myself, and I mean, not that I deserve to be helped, but I don't know what to do. Those were the thoughts going through my mind. And so then I sat down and I'm thinking like, great, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? And that's when I realized the demons were gone. So now, not only is it like the demons couldn't leave when I was trying to trick them, but now I'm all alone, and I want the demons there just to provide me company or something. And not that it would be great company at all, but now I'm completely alone and I'm lost and I have no idea what to do. So I'm actually very upset now. I'm not crying or anything, I'm just trying to figure myself out. And then I just kept walking and I got to this mini mart. So at this mini mart, and I'm pretty sure this was still a part of the military housing area because I wasn't out of there yet, out of that area yet. But yeah, so I walked into the mini mart and I asked the worker there, I'm like, hey, do you know how to get to this school? And she didn't know, you know, none of these people know where my school is. I started thinking, okay, well, no one knows where my school is, but what about like a landmark that someone would know that's near my school? So I thought, okay, the rec center, I know the rec center is like literally across the street from my school, so if they knew how to get to the Sarah Macy Rec Center, it would be fine. I could just walk across the street, it would be fine. But they didn't know how to get there. But one of the girls said, you know, I know how to get to the 7-Eleven. And I'm like, oh, I know where the 7-Eleven is, like in relationship to my school. I can get to my school from that 7-Eleven, I'm almost positive. So she gave me the directions. Now, I am terrible with directions. I probably should have asked her to write them down or do something like that, but I'm so bad with directions, and I'm also like so apprehensive about being rude to people. I don't want to be rude and say like, you know, I'm not going to remember this, can we do something else? I was scared at the time, so I just listened to her directions and acted like I knew what she was saying, and then I kept walking. Then I realized after a little while of walking, I'm like, hey, I hear cars, like a lot of cars, not just like in the neighborhood, like I hear the main street, I think. So it ended up being the main street. I'm walking along this main street hoping that I can get to the 7-Eleven from here, and then I, like, out of nowhere, like, dropped all my stuff. Literally dropped all my stuff that, I mean, not literally, like, threw down, but my guitar came off my shoulder, my backpack went down, my binder went down, and I'm just like, find that car. And what I mean by that is in that moment, I wasn't really registering what was happening, which is why I dropped my stuff so quickly. But what had happened was I saw this blue Toyota Highlander. And I'm like, no, this is not happening. I don't just get to do this and be a rebel or whatever you call it and then be like so blessed or lucky or whatever you want to call it in this situation, because I knew that car, that blue Toyota Highlander, was my dad's car, and we have a custom license plate on there. So I looked for it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is my dad. So that's why I dropped all my stuff. I dropped it and then I started running, not into the street, but I just started running, and I ran and he saw me and he pulled over, and I was like thinking he was coming home from work or something, but no, he had been looking for me, driving around in his car looking for me all over Sierra Mesa. And I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, this ended so much better than it could have. Just thinking about it really scares me sometimes. Like, so many things could have happened, and it was getting dark at this point. It was at least after 5 or 5:30, and at the time it was getting dark, and I don't know how it happened, but I just was fortunate enough to be found like that. So anyways, I saw the car, he pulled over, came over, and we packed my stuff in the car, and I just remember the first thing he asked me, he goes, what happened? And that's when I had to like choke on my pride, literally choke on my pride and just have to give it up at this point. And I said, he told me to do it. And then he goes, you know, well, who told you to do it? And I said, the demons. And that is why I'm telling this story, is because that was the eye-opener for everybody. Anyone I explained the story to after that day or that night, whenever it was, I said, you know, I don't know why this is like so controlling for me, but they've got me. These demons have got me like this because they threaten me, they threaten the people that I love, and this is real for me. This is reality. At the time, it was real for me. Then my dad and I got into the car to go home. Everything was packed up by then. And this was the most defeating part of everything, was that once we got into the car, I thought maybe the demons really did leave, because they left me at a certain point and I made that deal. I ran away. But I had a funny feeling since I didn't really stay away, it wasn't going to be enough for them. So when we pulled off in the car, I looked back at the road I had just walked up, and at the very end of the street were the demons all waving at me. So I knew at that point, this is going to be a roller coaster. Alright, so that was my story time. I hope it was interesting, entertaining, I don't know. Definitely for sure it's something that sticks with me. I mean, literally I know the date of it, and I know that it's the 5-year anniversary, hopefully when I can post this, and it's just close to my heart, so I wanted to share the story. Let me know if you can relate to any of this, because I'm trying to reach out to those people who can relate to me so I can relate to them. But honestly, these experiences are not as uncommon as people think, because we keep them all to ourselves. That's why I'm trying to break that stigma, the silence of trying to keep everything hidden, and just proclaim it. Like, this is just our lives, this is how it works, and I'm past that now. My mental health is like, the state I'm in right now is so much better than then, and it's because I wasn't afraid to speak about it and talk about it and tell people what was going on. It's a really good thing to talk about it, so just I encourage you to do that. And so definitely subscribe, and comment if you want to let me know if you kind of relate to this story or not. Also, reminder, my book link is in the description box below. Definitely check it out. I know it's my book, it's hard for me to like praise it or whatever, but it's definitely a book worth reading in my opinion. That link is in the description box below. Also in the description box is a link to my audiobook, and it's just audio chapter, I should say, because it's chapter 6 in my actual book, but it's audio, and it's just me reading out and expressing these stories for chapter 6 in an audiobook. So one thing I can tell you is that this chapter is the best chapter. You're going to find me in the audiobook. You're going to hear about my psychotic episode I explained a couple weeks ago. You're also going to hear about this story, and it just goes in more in depth, and that's completely free, so why not? Also, if you want to get that whole book and you want to read it and just have it there, or on Kindle, you can get it on Kindle, then you should definitely check that out as well. So those links will all be in the description box below. And as a reminder, as always, positive outcomes are possible. Thank you so much for watching this video. And this was the first time I went missing, this story, so I have a second time I went missing also. So if you want me to tell that story, I will. That would be the last time I went missing. But there is another story that goes with this. So the struggles are real, and we're going to fight them, we're going to battle them, and we are going to win. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next one.